Hey guys, what's going on? It's the boy who had 7, and today we're talking all about CGC labels over the years and when to crack and press. Alright guys, welcome to another video. Really appreciate you coming and hanging out. If this is your first time watching the channel, I'd love for you to subscribe and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Today we're going to be going over CGC labels. We're going to talk about what the different colors mean, what the labels have done over the years, and how this can help you to crack and press some books and get some grade bumps. Alright guys, to start off, I want to tell you what the different colors of each label means. It's really important to know this, especially if you're just getting into collecting. A purple label versus a black label versus a yellow label versus a blue label, they all mean something, and you need to know before you go and buy yourself a nice little book. So let's start off with blue. Blue is the universal label, and it really just means that this book has no qualifiers to it or special considerations. So it's a book, it's going to have its wear and tear, and because of that wear and tear, depending on how mint it is or how worn it is, it'll get a grade between 0.5 all the way up to a 10. The next one is the yellow label, CGC Signature Series label. This means that the book has been signed by somebody, it's been witnessed by somebody that works as a witness for CGC, and that yellow label is letting you know that they recognize this signature as authentic. A green label means a qualified label, as you see here, and that means that they have to tell you there's something significant enough in a defect or something that they need to point out that you need to know that the book is qualified, and they're going to tell you about. So for example, it could be a missing coupon, it could be the fact that something has been written on it and they don't have an authentication of that signature. So and they will put that up in the label. They'll let you know this is a green label and it's qualified for this reason. The next label that you guys need to know about is the purple label, and that is the restored label. It's always such a sad story when people send in a book that they paid full price for only to get it back to realize that somebody worked on it, somebody restored it to make it look better than it really is, which means they added pieces to it, they trimmed the edges off, they did something significant to the book that makes it fall under the restoration label. All right, so that's something that often breaks people's hearts, but it is what it is. You may be somebody that loves buying restored books because they look really good. Next one is black labels. This is a pedigree label, okay? This is applied to any comic book that's part of a CGC recognized pedigree collection. That means some people over the years have actually had amazing collections, and these collections are so big and so grand and so beautiful that they get their own pedigree, their own name, their own family comic book. There's some other labels like an NG, which means no grade, a PG, which means an individual page, a CVR, which means it's just a cover, and then you have a conserved label, which is a gray label, and you can see that here. And that means this is any comic book with specific repairs done to improve the structural integrity and long-term preservation. So these will be like things like tear seals, staple replacements. This is where people have looked at the book and said, we want to keep this around longer, so we have to make specific changes so that it doesn't disappear on us and we don't lose this book. We want to conserve it, okay? Last but not least, you're going to have all these different colors combined. You can have a yellow and a green label, a yellow and a purple label, a yellow and a gray label, right? So these are the different colors. You can go to the link that I have down below to CGC where it can explain this in more detail to you. So over the years, CGC has changed their labels, and I'm going to stick with the universal, the blue label. Though, if you see this label here, this beautiful red label, and I have to give a huge shout out to Can't Get Enough Comics. He sent me this book just so I can make this video. So huge shout out, Can't Get Enough. Love you, brother. Really appreciate it. This is his book. I'll be sending it back to him soon. But this red label is the original OG universal grade. Yes, it's red. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, is that CBCS or is that a signature series from CBCS? No, this is CGC, and this is their modern grade. This is the universal, and they use this one from their inception up until 2001. I think it was August 2001. Okay, in 2003, they changed this book, and they changed this label to their next label, which they used from 2001 to 2003. And so here it is, guys, the second universal CGC label. All right, this is what it looks like, and they use this one for about 2 years, just a little less than 2 years. In 2003, they switched to this more common label that we've seen And they use that from 2003 all the way up to 2016. This is version 3.0, and this is one that you guys have all seen, the CGC Universal label. And this is one that they used for so many years. All right. Now, around the time that they stopped using this one and switched over to their newer label, which is from 2016 till now, this is what they look like here. All right. We've got the white pages here instead of over here. The case is definitely a lot thicker. Let's compare those together. All right. See, way thicker. It's way more sturdy. These I've always felt, and the ones previous to it, like you could just open them up and get inside, right? These newer labels feel real sturdy, real nice. They do take up a little bit more space in your box, but I really like these new labels a lot more, all right? When they switched over to these new labels, soon after that, they also switched the way that they were grading the page quality, all right? So back in the day, what they had was a little strip, and they would take it and it said white, off-white to white, off-white, cream to off-white, right? And they take that color, they line it up against the page, and they say, this page looks like this color. What they realized is that the page quality, when the book came out, okay, may not have been the white that they had on their little grader, okay? So they said, what did the page look like the day it came off of the press and came out to the world? That is the true white for that cover. So my good friend DS Comics, he found this book, and I'm going to show you here, in a 9.6 with off-white to white pages. He knew that they had changed the page quality and the way that they were grading the page quality. And so he decided to press that book and send it to CGC. When he got it back, check this baby out, guys. White pages. Because the page color that is in this book looks just like the day that it came off the press. And so because CGC changed that, we now have a ton of books in these older labels that could very well be white pages, like this one. All right? The scary thing is that when this was graded, it could have been white pages, and if we crack it and press it now, it may not be. So every time you crack and press a book, it's definitely a gamble. You are not going to be assured. But here are the things that you can do to look at these books and say, wow, I've got some of these older labels, and I think it's wise of me to maybe crack and press so that I can get a higher grade, okay? So one thing is, you want to find older labels like those that I just showed you. That's number one. You find an older label, you know that the grading, the way that they did the grading was a little harsher back then, and the page quality was definitely off. They fixed those things. So you've already got a chance finding these older labels to get a grade bump. But what if the book was already pressed and cleaned? What if it's had damage since then, right? So what you want to do next, and this is the perfect example, okay? This book was obviously graded sometime before 2001. What you want to do is you want to come and you want to look at the book, all right? And you want to see what the flaws are. In this book, there is a little roll right here on the spine, okay? You want to look at the corners. I'm looking for 9/8. You guys know I'm a 9/8 guy. This is a 9/4, okay? 9/8 means there can be maybe one visible flaw, maybe two, but not big flaws. Okay, corners have to be nice and sharp. Book has to be flat. Colors have to be real good. As I look at this book, I see this roll here. The corners look sharp. Now, my friend can't get enough. He loves this book because he says the red label makes it beautiful. It makes Carnage pop. It just goes together. And so he very well may just keep this book like this, and I don't blame him. I love it, putting this out, showing this. Look at that. Just it does pop. The red is awesome. But as I look this book over, the only flaw that I can find, and I'm somebody that is used to looking at 9/8, is this roll right here. I can't guarantee. You can never guarantee because it depends on who's looking at the book and what's going on the day that they look at the book. But the only flaw I can see in this book, okay, is this roll here. all right? So if we were to pop this out, press it, and get that roll out, I definitely know we could get a higher grade than 9.4. 9.6, probably a 9.8. You know, and I'd have to look at it longer to make sure, but that's what you want to do. If you're going to crack and press a book, you want to look at it. Maybe you're not looking for a 9.8. Maybe you're looking at this one and saying, all right, this is a 6.0 white pages. One, is it worth it to give up those white pages? For me, it's not. That's why I'm going to keep this book in this grade. All right? But I look it over and I'm saying, okay, it looks pretty nice and clean. There are definitely some dents in there that could come out. There's a roll right here. All right, there's some dents and marks here. And this book has definitely not been pressed and cleaned. If this book were pressed and cleaned, I probably would get a grade bump on this. What I don't want to lose are those white pages. Now, event in the future, I may say, all right, I'm ready, I've got money, I want to upgrade this anyways, so I'm going to crack it, press it, clean it, get it back. If it comes back a higher grade, I got more money, I can find a white page copy later, right? So you want to look at the book, see if there are flaws that can be fixed from a press and a clean. If there are, it's worth a shot. But remember, it's always a gamble. You never know. After looking at the book and saying, you know what, it is already pressed, it is already cleaned, I know it's an older label, but it doesn't look like there's much I could do, you could still take a shot because they graded a little harsher back then and the page quality was different the way that they graded back then. But is that shot worth it to you? Do you have enough money if you lose out? What if the grade goes down, right? It can always happen. So you've got to look at the book. You've got to make those decisions. But these are some of the things that you want to look at, all right? Last but not least, when I first got into collecting comic books, I didn't know much about Newton rings. And these are Newton rings right here. Check it out. This is when the inside plastic well touches the outside plastic case. And it creates this illusion that you have here. When I first got my first book with Newton rings on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's oil or there's water in there. I returned it. I complained on eBay, and the dude's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. And I didn't. So I want to point out to you guys that there's not oil. There is no water inside your book. It is an illusion made by the two plastics touching each other, all right? And so, yes, it can be pretty annoying. You can call into CGC. You can let them know you have some books that you think have too many Newton rings. Sometimes they'll work with you and tell you, you know what, send them back, we'll do it for free. Other times they'll give you a discount. Sometimes they'll say, hey, you're out of luck. If you want it, go ahead and reholder your book and we can do that for you. So last but not least, I want to show you one more thing, and they're now making special labels, guys. And every time I get to show off my wife's book, this is my wife's book, and check out these beautiful new labels that they're making. So we talked about labels today. They are making new special labels. You can get those, and they're really beautiful. I think it makes this book pop even more. Love this book, love these labels. So hopefully this information that I shared with you guys today helps you make a decision, helps you know a little bit about how CGC works, what the label colors mean, what the labels look like over time, how they went from this cool, beautiful red label all the way to what we have now. And I hope you think about, you know, if you're going to crack and press, that you look at, do you have an older label? Has the book been pressed and clean? Can a press and clean help this book? And am I willing to take that chance? Because that's exactly what it is. So thanks for taking the chance and watching this video. I appreciate you guys. I miss you all so much. Hope everybody's doing well. And as always, guys, I will talk to you later. And we've done it. Mischief managed.